Good morning, everybody, or good evening, even for some of you that have really gone a long way by. Alan has joined us, one of the panelists from the States, very early in the morning for you guys. So welcome, everybody, to the first ever G-QRP Club online convention. I think it's true to say this is actually the first ever QRP online convention in the world. So definitely a first for the QRP community. We have been absolutely blown away by the response to the convention. We've still got people signing up as I'm talking now, and I must introduce myself. I'm Nick, G4IWO, and I'm going to be the host for this meeting. So that's effectively the chair of the opening session. I've been working with Steve and the club committee members from the G-QRP Club over the last couple of months to help them put this on. I'm a long-standing member of the G-QRP Club, joined not very long after it was started by George Dobbs, G3, RJV, many years ago in the late 79. So it seems a long time to have been active in amateur radio. So welcome everybody. Steve, can I ask you to introduce yourself, and we'll come to your presentation after you've done your bit and we've just introduced everyone else.
I assume you mean me, not the other Steve.
No, sorry, Steve. I meant the other Steve. Steve G0FUW. We'll come to you in a second, Steve.
Okay.
Steve G0FUW. You need to unmute.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome to everyone. We're now up to 291 in the room, so welcome one and all. I'm the chairman of the G-QRP Club, and I think it was my daft idea to do this online convention in the first place, and we've had lots of help from various people, which we'll go into in a little bit more detail later, but just very proud that we've been able to do something, and great to see everybody turning up, because it'd be rubbish without any attendees. So thanks for coming.
Right, brilliant. Dick, G0BPS.
Yes, good morning, everybody. It's great to see so many old friends appearing on this chat this morning. I've been involved in the hobby since the mid-80s when I picked up my license in '84. Some of my highlights is the monthly QRP columns I've been writing in Ham Radio Today. First non-American to be president of QRP ARCI, and I'm still on the board. Past life I named the owner of Kanga Products, a UK kit company. So welcome everybody. I hope you enjoy the Ham Radio today.
Okay, thank you, Dick. Can I go to Hans Summers, G0UPL, just to say hi before we go any further?
Yes, hello, thanks, Nick. Yes, I'm Hans Summers, G0UPL, licensed in 1994 when I finished university. Been pretty active in QRP ever since, and frequently attending Dayton and giving presentation there, as well as I think a G-QRP Club member almost continuously since 1994 as well. I'm joining now from Turkey, and I've got a new webcam for this event because my PC doesn't have a webcam on it. So I'm looking very jealously at your microphone there, Nick. I'm wishing that I had a nice microphone like that. All I've got here is a little spotty thing inside the webcam, so I hope that everyone can hear me okay. I'll talk to you in a minute.
Yeah, it's absolutely fine, Hans. I spotted it was decent audio when you're running Zoom meetings is very helpful, but yours is fine. Dominic, M1KTA. You're muted, Dom. That's it.
Got it. Okay. Hi all. Basically, I was licensed 2003. I was the comms manager for the G-QRP Club for years, but I handed that back to Peter at Christmas. I used to actually do an awful lot of DX travel in the first place before I was even licensed. So as soon as I was licensed, it was pretty natural for me to literally just go straight back into doing it all over again. So that's basically what I've been doing. About 90% of my operation is actually not in the shack, which I'm in at the moment. Basically, it's just a hut at the bottom of the garden. Anyway, this is going to be an awful lot of fun, I think, and look forward to speaking to everyone else.
Okay, thank you very much, Dom. Steve, G0KYA.
Yes, hi. I've been licensed since 1981. I think I'm membership number 5,234, which I thought meant I'd been in for quite a while, but it sounds quite high to me. I'm going to be talking about propagation, HF propagation, and looking at some of the new tools that are available and some that have been developed by the Propagation Studies Committee here in the UK. I'm also the author of the RSGB books on propagation, on stealth antennas, antenna modeling, and a beginner's guide to amateur radio. So I think stealth antennas is my contribution to QRP in a kind of roundabout sort of way. But look forward to speaking to you later.
Okay, thank you, Steve. And Alan Walkie, W2AEW, who's one of our presenters tomorrow afternoon. Alan.
Hey, good morning, Nick. Good morning, all. I'm Alan Wolke. I'm based in New Jersey. Hopefully the accent doesn't throw anybody. At a little early here this morning. It's about 10 minutes after 5. But yeah, I'll be speaking tomorrow. Let's see, I guess everybody's introducing themselves. I've been a ham since about 1980. And I run a small little YouTube channel, self-titled W2AEW. And I'll be speaking to you tomorrow about vector network analyzers and the new little nano VNA. So back to you, Nick.
Brilliant. Thank you, Alan. Andrew, G6ALB.
Hello, I'm Andrew, G6ALB. I would describe myself as a lifelong experimenter. I'm not in the air a whole lot, but I'm sure I've worked with a few people here. And, you know, very keen on QRP. I love the simplicity of some of the stuff, and I'm looking forward to a lot of the presentations. I'm only co-hosting, but I am avidly hoping to enjoy some of the other presentations. So thank you.
Okay, brilliant. And then last but not least, because he's the club treasurer, so somewhat important to putting this event on, Graham, G3MFJ. You're muted, Graham. We need to unmute you.
I'm unmuted, I think, now.
Yep.
Good morning, everybody. I've been sitting here since 9:30. I was first licensed in 1957 when I was still at school, and I've always been QRP, having lived in a situation where we were a fringe area for television, and the moment you ran more than 5 watts, you flattened everybody's television. I'm the treasurer of the club. I look after the money, and I'm also the club sales department. So if you buy anything, you buy it from me. But I'm looking forward to today. Thanks to everybody that's been involved in sorting it out.
Okay, brilliant. Lovely. Thank you, Graham. Okay, what I'm going to do now is hand the microphone back to Steve, G0FUW, just to say a few words about the club. Steve. You're muted, Steve.
Okay, this is where we find out if the system really does work. So I'm going to share the screen and hopefully a PowerPoint. There's some thumbs up from the panelists to say they can see a slide. Yeah, that's cool. We're rocking and rolling. Right. Well, as you've probably seen, we're running this on the 5th of September. That's pretty obvious. And I mentioned in my introduction, I'm the chairman of the QRP Club. I've been doing that role for a couple of years now. I joined the club before I was licensed in 1984, I think it was, and been a member ever since. And it was a tremendous honour when I was asked to take on the chairman role. So thank you again for everyone for attending, and for those who've been helping to organise it, and for those who are helping out by presenting and putting themselves in the firing line. I'm sure it'll be a very enjoyable experience, and we'll learn things from this, I'm sure, for next year and beyond. So what I'm going to do is just a little short introduction. What you may not have seen is we've had quite a number of people join the club or rejoin the club to be able to access the convention. So a very warm welcome, particularly to those people. You're all very, very welcome. And I thought it'd be useful just to go a quick trot back through history to find out where we've come from and how we've ended up here at, with a virtual convention today. So that's what I'm just going to whiz through in a few minutes. What you're seeing on slide, I'm not going to expect you to read this or indeed to read it out to you, but this was the original calling notice where a number of people had suggested a QRP club was a good idea. And one Reverend George Dobbs put himself in the firing line to be the main organizer, engine, and so it became for a very long time. So we've got a 40-year plus history. That clip came from the October 1974 Shortwave magazine, and I was still at school then, but it didn't seem very much long after that I joined, and it was interesting though to know that George was running an HW7 at the time. The other thing which I didn't put on the clip, but in 1974, the Shortwave magazine were complaining about the levels of QRM on the bands. I shudder to think what the author would think if they were around today. But yeah, so if that was 1974, it shouldn't take much mathematics to work out that we are approaching our 50th anniversary in 2024. So goodness knows what we're going to be able to do for that, but we'll do something special, rest assured. You've met most of the committee, Dick and Graham, myself. The other key member who can't be with us this morning because she's busy is Daphne, G7ENA. Daphne's our membership secretary, and she's the one who works through all the applications and sorts out the Sprat mailing list and so on and so forth. So very much a key player. But we've got lots of other key players, not just the committee. We've got people doing things like awards and QSLs and communications and the website and organising this convention. And all the people that are volunteers, they give up their time very freely, and you know, we really couldn't do this without them. So to say that the QRP Club is a team effort is no understatement. We have a steady membership of about 4,000 members, and it's been that way for over a decade now. It fluctuates a little bit, but that's the sort of ballpark figure that we're looking at. And based on the numbers of tickets we've sold, that means that 13% of the membership are going to be involved in this convention at some time today or tomorrow, or indeed afterwards. So I think, to echo Dick's thing, I think this is one of the biggest QRP events ever, if certainly in the UK, to have that many people involved, and that level of percentage attendance is fantastic. So the club, what does the club do? I've included this QSL card on the screen, which the club has a call G5LOW, 5 watts low power. Seemed entirely appropriate that we had that call sign. And the QSL card really gives you a flavour of what the club is all about. And quite rightly, it includes Sprat, which is now in colour. I think it keeps getting lots of attention and all very positive feedback we get from that. We have club sales, Graham there and the team at one of the rallies selling the bits and pieces, and the thousands and thousands of toroids and transistors and kits, books that get sold is absolutely brilliant that people are still building radios and using them in this day and age. There's an award there on the screen, on the QSL card, and we do recognise and celebrate success for various things, technical input to Sprat and to operating and so on and so forth. So lots of awards. There's a build-a-thon shown there, which again, a key event which would normally take place at a convention. Sadly, we can't have one this year, but hopefully next year we can get together and melt some solder. There are circuits on there which show that we share our tribal knowledge, and everybody sort of seems to benefit from each other's learning curves. And of course, we wouldn't be appropriate to have a QSL card for the club without George overseeing things on the left-hand side. And come back, just look at the conventions. The first one was held in Rochdale in 1989, which I remember attending that event and thinking what a friendly parish council sort of gathering it was. And certainly listening to people talk about bamboo beams and FET PA transistors was not what you expect in a church pew. So it felt more like a sermon than a presentation in that case. And to think we've gone from a church pew to doing this online is quite an achievement, I think. But they were great times at Rochdale. Sadly, things had to move on, but we went from sort of good to better, I think, at Rishworth. The scene you can see on the screen, that's the main hall at Rishworth School. We also had a purpose-built lecture theatre, which was fantastic, and all the facilities, car parking was just brilliant. And again, things move on. Sadly, costs rise, and access was not as easy as it was. So we had to move on again, and we teamed up with the people at the Telford Hamfest, and we've been doing that for a few years now. Works really well. The Telford guys do all the sort of heavy lifting, quite literally in some cases. And then we were able to run our build-a-thons, our lectures and club sales, and all the things that we would do had we been at Rishworth or Rochdale. Sadly, we had to curb plans this year and postpone. It's already in the diary for next year. Next September, there'll be a physical convention, but we think we've learned from doing this that it'll be streamed live via the same medium, so everybody will have access to it. We also have plans for a convention in Scotland this year, and sadly again that had to be cancelled, but hopefully next year we'll be able to resurrect what I found out we had one once before, and it was called the McSprat meeting. So I think that's a new clan, but we'll be a gathering of the McSprats next year with some luck. So what can you expect today and tomorrow? We've got 6 webinars, some key speakers who are going to talk for about half of the allocated time, hopefully, maybe a little bit longer, and then there'll be lots of questions and answers. The knowledge sharing sessions, there are 8 of those. They are a bit shorter than the webinars, but generally done by members of the club, sharing their experiences and hopefully answering questions based on what they've been doing. We've also got 4 chat rooms, which is a bit of an experiment. We're not quite sure how that's going to work. There won't be any presentations or anything like that. You just rock up to the room and chat to whoever's in there. We've given each one a theme, which I won't steal Nick's thunder. I think he's going to tell you that. But basically, if you're interested in antennas, you go in one. If you go in valves, you go in another. And just be like-minded folk that you can have a chat with. At the end of tomorrow, we're going to have a presenters panel where you'll be able to, if you've got any burning questions that haven't been answered, you'll be able to put those to the presenters who are going to return for that session. And we'll sort of wrap things up hopefully by pointing the way ahead to next year. Sadly, as I mentioned, we don't have a build-a-thon. We had hoped to do a virtual build-a-thon, but the logistics of trying to get kits together, get them mailed out, get the instructions 100% foolproof and have a spares catalogue available and all of that just proved to be too difficult. But we've not abandoned the idea. We're thinking that possibly after the convention we can start organising what probably call a build-along rather than a build-a-thon. So there'll be instalments posted either on YouTube or Zoom, and people can ask questions about where they've gone wrong. But that's for another day. So it's sad we can't have it today, but we have not abandoned the idea entirely. So before we get on to Hans's session, just massive thank yous all around. That you would not believe the organisations and meetings and things that have gone on to get us to where we are. It's been a fairly short, compressed lead up to this because obviously we didn't know what was happening with COVID and all the rest of it. And from that, wouldn't it be a good idea if moment to now has been but a few more months really, and to organise the Zooms and the Eventbrite and all the various speakers has been quite an effort. So a huge thank you to everyone that's helped that. Thank you again to you for turning up, which is always good. And also thank you to those who can't be here today because they're supporting us from afar, but we'll be catching up later. So with that, I will stop sharing and pass you back to Nick.